Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we are going to be breaking down every single card from the purple Yu Yu Hakusho set. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and dive right into it. Now, full disclosure, I've never actually sat down and watched Yu Yu Hakusho. I always remember seeing it on Tourney growing up and stuff, so the Dark Tournament arc is so familiar to me. It's so funny, even though I've never seen it. Where I'm getting at, though, is recently been watching it, and I just got to the Toguro, I think that's their name, Toguro Brothers. Just got to that arc where they were introduced, so I'm going to probably butcher so many of these names, considering the Dark Tournament is what a lot of this set is based around, and I don't know any of these characters. But regardless, yeah, I just wanted to mention that before I butcher half of these names. And yeah, there's going to be two different decks that you can build. The Toguro Brothers deck is going to be one that's its main focus with a lot of removal. Funny enough, the card is not shown here right now, the base SR, but you've got this 8-cost raid that you're trying to raid out, but with a lot of ways to get good energy generation out as well as reduce the cost of him, which is really nice. But he's an impact 1, damage 3, and he removes a card on play, so definitely a monster of a raid card. Also, fun fact about the base SR card not being here is I'm just speculating that maybe we're getting an exclusive art just for the base SR that like it's different from Japan for some reason. Let me know if you guys know. There's actually another card in the red Yu Yu Hakusho set, the Kuruma card, that was actually also just like this, no base SR. It says coming soon. And I've been doing these breakdowns for a year now, and I've never seen the base SRs as coming soon. So really curious. I hope it's not just a glitch. I hope it's something. I'm more just curious than anything at this point. But yeah, the other deck that you're going to be able to focus on is going to be this Jin deck here. A lot of low-cost cards on the other end versus that 8 cost that you're trying to ramp up to. And again, a lot of removal, a lot of pushing cards to your opponent's energy line. Almost reminds me of like Red Kenshin a little bit. And while the two decks are definitely kind of more or less trying to do their own thing, especially the Toguro Brothers deck, because it's sort of like trying to focus on like sidelining its own cards, getting the energy generation up, having the name Toguro Brothers, or at least the young Toguro. Essentially, you might be able to do some deck mixing, but overall, they're more or less trying to do their own thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if you were able to add your own splashes of like one of these two raids into the deck and surprise people. Definitely not like in their own archetypes to the point where you can't consider deck mixing. But yeah, diving into it here, starting it out with the Toguro Brothers deck, we have the young Toguro raid. He's an 8 cost. This character can only be played by performing a raid with it, so you do not have the option to just slap him down as a 5k BP card. Regardless, so raid, he has impact 1, damage 3, and then when played, all characters on your opponent's front line lose 1k BP until the end of the turn. Then on top of that, you get to choose a character with 4k or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it. And this is going to be so gross. We have a lot of energy generation, like I said, as well as cards to reduce the required energy to play this guy, so raiding him is not going to be that difficult. And on top of that, that minus 1k, if you don't know in Union Arena, if you reduce a character's BP to 0 in this game, you actually sideline them. So, since this says just minus 1k to a character, you have other ways in the deck to actually stack on top of that to maybe get a double removal off with this guy. Could be wild. One of those cards being this Toguro card. It's a 5 cost active main if he's on the front line once per turn. You can sideline one other character on your field, and if you do, you choose one character on your opponent's front line and it loses 2k until the end of the turn. On top of that, this character is going to gain impact. He's also a 4k BP active trigger, so he's a monster in himself, being able to hopefully pair with that raid to remove an additional card when you're going for the 4k removal with the raid. Or if you really need to, you can raid on top of this guy. But yeah, great card here to hopefully help you roll into extra removals potentially. And then that's going to be something you see with this deck and with this card and a few other cards where you're actually sidelining your own cards in order to get abilities. So you have this 1 cost young Toguro card. It's a 4k BP on a 1, but this character can only attack if a character on your field has been sidelined by one of your abilities this turn. So yeah, he is just sitting on the front line, not doing anything unless you sideline one of your characters for that turn. On top of that, this character cannot block characters with 3,500 or less BP, so in the worst situations, the least that he can do is sideline himself against a 4K and save yourself a life. But he's got this amazing effect here, active main if on the front line once per turn. You can sideline one other character on your field. If you do, draw a card and give this character generates energy on the front line until the end of the turn. So yeah, with a draw trigger, being a raid target for our raid Toguro, oh man, generating energy on the front line, allowing him to become an attacker by sidelining one of your own cards, which you do want to do for multiple effects. Yeah, this deck, if you see the right cards, it's going to be pretty gross. The setup's going to be nasty. And then some other Toguro cards here. We have a 4-cost. When played, you may sideline one other character on your field. If you do, just straight up draw 2 cards. He doesn't have a trigger. He has a 4K. Overall, I could see this guy probably being like a 2 or a 3 of. I doubt you're going to like 100% run 4 of him because, yeah, I don't know. That trigger could get in the way, and at the end of the day, while he is sidelining one of our cards, we do want energy generation and other things as well, but not a bad card by any means. And then 2-cost, active main, once per turn, sideline one other character on your field. If you do, this character gains 1k until the end of the turn, and he's a 3k, so he could become a 4k essentially, with an add-to-hand trigger as well, so not a bad card at all. And then 0-cost Elder Toguro, so keep in mind if you're unfamiliar with Yu Yu Hakusho, you can only raid your 8 big younger Toguro card on top of a younger Toguro. So this Elder Toguro will not be an option as a raid target. Just keep that in mind. But this is going to be a pretty nice 0-cost. Have we had an SR0? This might be our first SR0. I'm sure if there is one, it's in Code Geass, and I never saw it, the one set. But yeah, I'm curious. This might be our first SR0 cost. Nullify impact during your turn when this character is sidelined or returned to your hand from your field. Reduce the required energy of all of your younger Toguro cards in your hand by 2 until the next time a Toguro card is played onto your field. So essentially, yeah, he can reduce your 8 cost down to a 6 cost, which is really, really nice. And on top of that, it doesn't have to be for the raid card. If you're struggling just to get bodies out and energy generation and you're trying to like maybe play that 5 cost, you can reduce him down to a 3. But yeah, on top of that, when sidelined, you may place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. If you do, add this card to your hand. So essentially what this guy's whole purpose is to be a really good target to sideline one of your own characters. And with doing it, you're essentially getting to reduce the cost of, assuming you're playing the 8-cost raid. That's probably going to be your main target with this guy. But on top of that, he can either be sidelined or returned to your hand. So there's also going to be situations where he's returned to your hand based off of one of your abilities potentially. Or if you don't want him to go to your sideline, you can use his additional ability where you're still getting his initial reduction by 2, but he's going back to your hand, so you can replay him the following turn. Really, really good card to have as a like win sideline or a sideline target for your own abilities. Definitely good for sure. And then another 0-cost you're definitely going to want to run in this deck, 0-cost Byakko. When sidelined, draw a card. So yeah, he's just a 1k, but as one of your 0-costs in the deck, he can be sidelined to allow you to draw. So the more benefits we can get from sidelining our own cards, the better. And then the color trigger that you're probably going to want to run for this deck is going to be 3-cost Sakyo. When played, choose one of the following effects. If a character on your field has been sidelined this turn, play up to 1 purple character with 2 or less required energy and 1 AP from your hand, set to resting onto the field. So essentially, you can use one of your abilities to sideline one of your characters. Whatever happens, happens. And then you play this character to essentially just replenish that body like it never happened. So definitely going to be a nice engine for this deck, considering he's also a double energy generator. The other effect you could pop is you may return 1 character on your field with 2 or less required energy to your hand. If you do, choose up to 1 character on your field and it gains 2k BP till the end of the turn. The 2k BP is undoubtedly going to be helpful in some situations. But what's really nice about that additional effect is if you're struggling to sideline your own characters, you can actually bounce back the younger Toguro brother, the 0-cost, and still get that reduction for the raid. But yeah, for the color trigger, definitely not bad at all. And then another card that might be kind of helpful in the deck is this 3-cost Beautiful Suzuki. Raid, when played, choose up to 1 character on your field with 4 or less required energy, other than Beautiful Suzuki. This character activates all chosen characters when played abilities. With the add-to-hand trigger, 3,500. He's only a 3-cost raid too, which is pretty cool. But essentially, you can use him to replay your when-played raids, like, for example, Sakyo. On top of that, his raid target's pretty nuts. He has a 2-cost raid target, Nullify Impact, Double Block. As a 2, that's pretty crazy for 3k BP. No trigger, I think that's honestly valid for this card. But honestly, your second or third turn just slapping this guy down on the front line, that could be pretty strong for sure. And then you can raid on top of him later, potentially pretty good. If you do want to run him, he also does have a 0-cost raid target as well. Onji, this card is treated as Beautiful Suzuki. Hopefully this didn't spoil something for me in the anime. But an add-to-hand trigger, 0-cost. Like I said, raid target if you do end up running this guy. Not a terrible card, I feel like, if you did need more cards to slap into the deck potentially. And then our special for the deck, 4 cost, 100% of 100%. Choose one character with 3k or less on your opponent's front line, sideline it. But if you have the younger Toguro on your field, 5k instead. Our generic but pretty strong special trigger. And then just because we mentioned him already, the beautiful Suzuki does have an event card that looks pretty interesting. So 3 cost Rainbow Cyclone. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 character, 1 event, and 1 sight among them and add it to your hand. Place any remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then if you have beautiful Suzuki on the field, you can actually look at the top 7 instead of the top 3. So pretty good with an active trigger. It's just, man. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You get to look at the top 7 and grab pretty much any 3 cards, essentially. As long as you are running I would say the most runnable reason for that card would be for the Dark Tournament, because then you can, this is like the only sight card that you're also grabbing on top of that. Of course, you want to get maximum value out of the card if you are going to run it. And if you are running the Dark Tournament, I'm assuming this is more playing into the other deck, but 2 cost, play the sight set to active. Active main switch to resting. Choose a character on your field and it gains 1k until the end of the turn with an add a hand trigger as well. You know, that's a sight card, that's for sure. Again, I feel like it'll play better into the other deck. But yeah, with that, we'll start diving into the Jin deck here. 4 cost Jin. Your opponent cannot choose this character with an ability on event cards unless they place 1 card from their hand into the sideline as an additional cost. So yeah, essentially when your opponents are playing cards that say the word choose, if you're curious on the full breakdown of it, there's actually a nice Q&A answer right here. But any effects that your opponent uses on an event card that says choose, essentially specials, yeah, they'll have to trash an additional card in order to sideline him. And then yeah, so when played, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line and move it to their energy line. So with the other abilities that you're going to see in this deck, what you're essentially doing is, yeah, pushing your opponent's cards back to their energy line to hopefully remove cards. Because if you don't know in this game, if your opponent's energy line has 4 characters and you push a character back to it, they actually have to remove a character in order to move that character back. But yeah, with the low cost of the deck being a 4 of like maximum for the highest cost cards in it, I feel like you'll be able to do some stuff. And who knows, maybe you do splash this guy into the Toguro deck potentially. Who knows? But again, obviously that deck's trying to have so many other things going on. You might not find the room for a raid and raid targets. On top of that, Jin does have his own color trigger as well, so if you are going to do any mixing, keep in mind for the color triggers, it has to be 4 total of the trigger, so you have to decide between these 2 cards of what the split would be. But 3 cost Jin during your turn. If your opponent's front line is not full, this character gains 1k BP, so essentially a 4k on the right situations, the right turns. He has a double energy generator though, so I imagine most of the game he's going to be on the back line, but once he's pushed up for that end game attack, hopefully, presumably, he's going to be a 4k. And then 0 cost Jin, our generic add to hand raid target later on. And then a 1 cost Jin, when played, draw a card and then place 1 card from your hand to the sideline. Choose up to 1 character on your field and move it to the other line. Pretty good card, honestly. Not only is it the deck filtration, but you can also use him to, like, you play him rested and then you push up a character to attack who is active on the energy line. Always like these cards, especially on a 1 cost. That's pretty good. I think no trigger is kind of valid for this, especially 2500. Raid target as well for your Jin raid, so not a bad card at all. Then we have a 4 cost Shishiwakamaru. During your turn, this character gains 500 BP, going from 3500 to a 4k when you're attacking. And then when played, if your opponent's energy line is not full, you may place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. If you do, choose 1 character on your opponent's front line and move it to their energy line. So ideally, the best situation for this would be to play her if you want to try to remove a card, so that you can fill up your opponent's energy line. Then go for your Jin raid to remove something potentially. Then we have this 5 cost Karasu raid card. During your opponent's turn, this character cannot be chosen by abilities on your opponent's characters that are not rated. So essentially, the only character abilities that can choose this character are going to be raid cards. Pretty strong, honestly. So yeah, there's like any like just generic cards that could potentially sideline this character. What's also nice is even just resting and stuff. You literally cannot be chosen by abilities, so even if it's just going to be a rest or a freeze or something, it would have to be a raid card. So could be pretty strong, could save her from some situations. On top of that, when played, you get to draw 2 cards and then trash a card, but if there's a character with 3k or less BP on your opponent's front line, you actually just get to draw 2 straight up, no trash. Her raid target also looks pretty good here. 3 cost Karasu, active main, switch to resting once per turn. You can only use this effect if there's a character with 2k or less BP on your opponent's front line, but you get to draw a card and then trash a card just straight up. As a double energy generator too, this is pretty good with an active trigger, 3k BP. Maybe we need a raid on top of her later. This is nice, just a nice double energy generator who every once in a while maybe we can tap her for a tap to draw, for a draw trash. Not bad, not bad. And then a 0 cost Karasu with a draw trigger, 2k BP. Again, as far as cards to raid on top of, these are pretty good options for sure. And then it's Karasu in the card, but it does not require her, but it will, you know, it's in theme. 2 cost Trace Eyes. Your opponent places 1 card from their hand into the sideline. If a character card is placed into the sideline with this ability, you get to draw. With an active trigger, you know, not terrible. If you get the draw off, this is really good, but I feel like playing a card to force your opponent to trash a card, I mean, honestly, more often than not, they're probably gonna trash a character. Most event cards in this game are not worth sidelining. So yeah, honestly, interesting card. Interesting card, I'll say that. With the active trigger, definitely helps it. And then the special for Jin, 3 cost Tornado Fist. Choose up to 1 character with 5k or less BP on your opponent's front line and move it to their energy line. But if Jin is on your field, you also get to draw a card. So yeah, a deck that isn't going to have a ton of removal in itself, but through pushing enough cards to your opponent's energy line, hopefully you're actually able to get quite a bit of removal off. And some good draw power as well. But yeah, that's going to be your special trigger for the deck here. And then we have this 4 cost Shu, 4 cost 2 action points. Play this character set to active onto your field. When played, this character gains 1000 BP and damage 2 until the end of the turn. On top of that, when attacking, if your opponent's energy line is full, you get to draw a card. So yeah, definitely want to try to include this guy, I'm sure, especially because with this deck, we're essentially clearing out their front line, hopefully sooner than later. So with a damage 2 character as well, we can take more advantage of them not having blockers. On top of that, we have this 5 cost Ziru. If Shu or Rinku are on the field, this character gains damage 2. And then when attacking, you can place 2 cards from your hand into the sideline. And if you do, this character gains impact until the end of the turn. So not only do you have another damage 2 to try to swing with, but on top of that, if they have like a blocker that you know they're probably going to block the damage 2 with, now you have impact on top of it to still take a life. So yeah, again, with how much frontline manipulation you're doing to your opponent, not going to be surprised if this is a really, really handy card. No triggers, a little unfortunate, but regardless, I can see this card really, really coming in handy. And then a card that might play well into the deck if you're running the Karasu raid, this 1 cost Seiru. When played, choose 1 character with 1500 or more BP on your opponent's front line, and it loses 1k until the end of the turn. I don't know if you're trying to run 4 of this 1 cost without a trigger, just so that you can get extra effects to guarantee that they have like 2 and 3ks for your Karasu or whatever. I mean, I guess on top of that, you're also able to target other cards potentially with other abilities, but regardless, a nice little addition to the deck if you're trying to reduce your opponent's BP even just by 1k for some extra help, whatever you're doing. No trigger, just, man, if this is a draw trigger, it's crazy, right? If there was a draw trigger, this card was like, all right. No trigger, though, it's like, okay, I don't think I'm running 4 of them. And then if you are running that Zeru card, this is going to be the 2 cost Rinku card that you can run. When played, draw a card, 2k BP, no trigger. So kind of unfortunate that if you are going for like this whole package with him, and you're going like as many of them as possible, you're just stacking up no triggers. But all around, you know, hopefully it pays off in the end. I mean, at the end of the day, you just need either one of them. So you could not run the Rinku, and as long as you have the Shu on the field, you're swinging for 2 damage 2s potentially. Not bad, not bad. I'd say the only thing to keep in mind with this guy is like, he's a 5 cost, so he might be a little difficult to play set to resting on your energy line, you know, protect him and then push him up the next turn. I say that, but there's actually quite a few double energy generators in this, so either way, yeah, that's going to be the little package with those 3. Could be pretty solid, especially, again, with clearing out your opponent's front line like you're doing with these decks. And then from there, we've got these pretty generic cards that you can pretty much put into whatever deck. I say generic, but this card's actually really sick and unique. 4 cost Bui. This character cannot be switched to resting, moved, or returned to your hand by your opponent's abilities. With an active trigger, 4k BP, this guy's he's gonna help you in a lot of games. And again, just him having the active trigger on top of that is so nice. And if you don't know, we're in this Kenshin meta right now. Red Kenshin is the best deck in the game, which is a card that is not sidelining your cards in most situations, but instead, if they were gonna get sidelined, move them to the energy line. So this is gonna be a fantastic card where, since he cannot be moved to the energy line, but the opponent's Red Kenshin cannot sideline this character, the card kind of just sits there. So that's pretty interesting. That could definitely come into clutch for sure, especially like right now if you end up seeing a lot of Red Kenshin. Then we have our 2-cost, Dr. Ijaki, our generic. When active, he generates 2 energy. Could be good for the Toguro deck, just because we're trying to get up to like 6 or 8 or whatever. But again, we have options. 1-cost, Toya, no effect, active trigger though, with a 2500 BP. You know, if you're looking just for some splashed in cards to help you ramp, this is always a good option just because it's got pretty solid BP, especially for a 1 and the active trigger. 1-cost, Suzaku, when played, this is our generic, return a 1-cost or less to our hand. If we can't, we have to return him to our hand, but he's a double energy generator at a 1-cost, so if you are desperate, could be nice. But yeah, we have a lot of good double energy generation in this. 0-cost Genbu, this guy is going to be our generic active main switch to resting once per turn. He's going to generate 2 energy, but then after our main phase, we have to sideline him. For a 0, he could come in clutch, but again, we got good generation options. Kuro Momo Taro, geez. 1-cost Kuro Momo Taro, when played, look at the top card of your deck, then place it on the top or bottom of your deck. Again, a card that would look a lot better if it just had a draw or active trigger. But he's a 2500 BP deck filtration. Not going to be surprised if a couple of him is a nice addition to the deck. 3-cost Enkai and Rio. These guys are going to be reduced to a 2 instead of a 3-cost if you're going up against a green or a red deck. Pretty solid in maybe like rare battles, especially if you're going to definitely see a lot of red or green Yu Yu Hakusho. So yeah, or Red Kenshin, just to help you get the energy generation out fast. A 2-cost double energy generator like this does not exist for the most part. So yeah, pretty solid card in certain matchups because of the colors, I'd say. Urorashima? Yeah, 0-cost Urorashima. When played, choose up to 1 character on your field. It gains 1k till the end of the turn. Active trigger, 500 BP. I mean, you know, he's a 0. Not the worst 0 in the world, I'll say that. And the final for the deck, 3-cost, not bad. Choose 2 action points, set them to active. Our action point restander. And yeah, boys, with that, that is going to be every single purple Yu Yu Hakusho card. I think by the time I have this uploaded, I should have the other 2 set breakdowns up, the green set as well as the red set. So definitely check those out if you guys are curious. I really appreciate you guys getting this far, supporting the videos, like and subscribe, and hopefully these are helpful to you guys at the very least. Hopefully they're entertaining to you. Overall, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on purple Yu Yu Hakusho. I am a little scared to see how hard this purple deck can pop off because this is quite a bit of removal as well as just like some pretty solid early game pressure. Seems like attacking with this 1-cost 4k is not going to be that difficult. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this purple deck does stand out quite a bit. On top of that, he's like a 5k guy. Impact 1, damage 3 too. That's the craziest part. If you can actually successfully remove like 3 cards, it doesn't seem like it's going to be super hard. You're pretty much guaranteed to get the damage 3 off. That's so crazy. Pretty good set, I'm not going to lie. I'm excited for Yu Yu Hakusho. I wish there was just a little bit more triggers. Other than that, I'm excited for the set for sure. But yeah, let me know what you guys are going to be doing. Let me know what decks you guys are going to be building. If you're more excited about this or Kaiju 8 potentially. And yeah, with all that, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.